traders, Cousin Vinny coming to you from closingprint.com on January the 11th, Sunday, with a market commentary for the week ahead, plus some scans and setups for the week. With regard to the indices, we'll look at the bullish and the bearish scenarios. There are several catalysts out there, and some obviously that we don't know about that could interfere with the markets. We've seen 3 V-shaped recoveries since the October lows. We talked about that on a blog post on Saturday. In addition, we saw a bullish cross on the tick cumulative on Friday. We've noticed that the bond stock ratio, the 65 MA, is starting to flatten out, and we're watching seasonality, which in January since 2009 we've seen the month open and then close higher only 43% of the time in January versus February, March, and April since 2009, where we've seen the month open and then close higher 83% of the time. Setups, we're looking at the industry groups, hardware, storage, cybersecurity, and we're also looking at the IBD 50 and high tight flag scans. Here is the S&P 500 Spiders ETF, SPY. Note that we came down last week, created this V bottom, and we rallied fairly quickly. We are sitting right inside of this volume by price bar. In addition, we see slow stow has turned up and the momentum is still moving higher. So we're looking for catalysts to push this indices higher. One of the things I was watching was Angela Merkel meeting with Poroshenko and Putin, trying to resolve the crisis in Ukraine. In addition, we have the Keystone Pipeline with regard to Congress. There's possible catalysts there if Congress starts to pass bills and the president signs, or it's viewed that we're starting to make progress in the way of jobs and business. In addition to that, we're watching the US dollar at highs, possibly pull in a little bit. We saw gold stocks taking off last week, making a nice pop, and we'll be watching oil, which did show us something of a pause in the downward momentum. So we're watching SPY. We'll be very interested to see what futures look like at the open tonight at 6 p.m. And of course, with MACD, we really don't have much of a signal here. On this particular version of the spiders, I noted that we possibly could see a head and shoulders top. We're inside the standard deviation 1 Bollinger Bands, and again right at this volume by price level. Moving averages are moving higher and prices are above all of them. Looking at shorter time frames, the 15-minute, we were moving sideways. We're above the 10 and the 50 MA. We bounced at the 382 using these pivots. So we are putting in a higher low. Presently we have the 200 period moving average here. So we'll be watching the action on the 15-minute going into the week. Note where slow stow 144 is. This is what we typically use for a buy signal after the faster 5 and 14-1 stow start moving in the right direction and trigger signals. Here's the 30-minute. You can see the inverted head and shoulders that we saw earlier in the week. Disregard the Kirby levels moved around when we moved higher. We are moving sideways. Note the Bollinger Bands are tightening. MACD is starting to flatten out, possibly move higher. And the 144 on the 30-minute is flat. 5-minute 144 is getting down to close to oversold territory, so this could be a catalyst as well for higher, as long as we keep these higher lows going. So watch the 5-minute at the open tomorrow. The 60-minute consolidating right along the 200 period moving average and these volume by price bars. MACD is not giving us much here. and slow stow is pointing a little bit lower. The faster of the two, the 5-1, has bounced and moving higher, so we can conceivably turn up on the 14-1. Looking at the NASDAQ, we have a similar situation. Note the Bollinger Bands are flat. We're trading inside this Kirby pocket. We have the most recent pivots for the Fibonacci levels this high down to this low. We came up right through the 50% and the 618. Reversed somewhat. We did see a little buying action here at this Kirby level bottom. So we did find support, and we're in something of a ascending wedge pattern currently until further notice. Note the 200 period moving average is still moving higher. A different look at the daily, this volume by price bar here. We came down on this V-shaped bottom. We bounced off of that area of support and resistance. We put in a trend line here, so we're looking at higher lows presently. Slow stow is turning up, so that looks pretty good. MACD is turning up, so we'll be watching the MACD durations as well. The NASDAQ weekly chart, we can see Bollinger Bands, as we mentioned, were flattening out. Note the Dragonfly Doji here. We saw buyers down at this level push back up, and we're presently sitting right at the 10-period EMA on the weekly chart. Looking at a chart of the Dow Industrials, using these pivots for our Fibonacci levels, we blasted right through the 50 and the 618. So we're pretty strong on the Dow 30. Note the Kirby pocket here, and we're going to get back above this Kirby shelf, it looks like, if we can push higher on Monday. We tried to achieve that on Thursday, but got pushed back, and now we're holding the 20 period and the 10 EMA. We closed right at the 10 period EMA on Friday. Slow stow continues to move higher on the 5-1 duration, and we're watching MACD as well. Looking at a 60-minute on the Dow 30, we can see the 20 period moving average. Prices sandwiched in between the moving averages, right at the midline of the Bollinger Bands, and we have this MACD, we have this volume by price level above to push through. Slow stow is pushing up, and MACD looks like it's headed higher. Note that the downward momentum slowed, and we're starting to drift higher going into the last few hours of Friday. Tick cumulative, we saw some really high ticks late in the day on Friday. We did have a cross to the bullish side. Note the Elder Impulse is a blue candle or a blue stick. We stopped right at the 20 period. We want to see this turn green again or stay blue and move to the upside. Note NYMO was positive during the day, closed slightly positive at 0.56 on Friday, with trend elevated for the most part most of the day on Friday. Looking at this particular version, we can see on the daily basis the VIX VXV. We had a fade here at these highs and previously on this V bottom, and we saw lows around that area, so that we're watching the fear indicator, we're watching the risk event indicator for a further push down below 90, and then lower for a confirmation that we could see further upside into the week. Now looking at the S&P 500 seasonality chart we alluded to early in this recording, we're at 60% in January since 2011, where percents of months in which the S&P closed higher than it opened from 2011 through 2015. So you can see February is 100%, and we're 60% in January, followed by 75% in March and April. If you zoom out to 2009, you can see the ratio changes slightly, as we mentioned, 43% and 83%. However, we could see some weakness still in January, just using statistical point of view. Let's take a look at some scans. We ran the high type flag scan over the weekend. Note, we mentioned, you can read that post, but ADXS Nice flag we broke out. This is the potential of what a high type flag can deliver. Aegean Marine Petroleum, they started operations in the Gulf of Mexico. We're still within a breakout level of the top of pole. We put in a spinning top on Friday. We'll be watching this one. Note the volume. Some other names that are in the group. Aegeos, remember this was a high type flag that we pointed out back in September that went on to see quite stellar appreciation in the meantime since the breakout. So this is what you look for in a high type flag. You find 90 to 100% increase from the lows to the top of the pole, then you see a consolidation period, and then a breakout where you buy the break at the top of the flag, and then you can add at the top of the pole. So we've appreciated quite nicely on this biotechnology company in the cancer research group. Alcobra Pharmaceuticals, we're watching this one, a new name on the scan. We saw these lows at 316, and we're pretty much almost at a 100% increase. We're watching how this volume by price bar resistance plays out over the next few days. Another name, I'm not particularly fond of a gap up type, but these do work. Avalanche, nice increase since this Bollinger Band squeeze has been taken off. Calithera Biosciences, this is a nice descending channel pattern, just continuing the grind sideways. Bollinger Bands are tightening. This is probably going to set up for a move in the near future. We're waiting for slow stochastics and MACD to set up better though. Celadon, Sempra, my buddy Ace 52-week high has been trading this one on this flag breakout. Appreciated quite nicely off of the 19 area and went as high, traded as high as 27.10. Ecom, like how this one is increasing in price, $11.83. We're looking for 22.50, 23. We're looking for a breakout of this level and to get above this volume by price bar for a continuation. This could really explode once it gets above this area. We're looking for volume, however. Coeur d'Alene, we noted that a lot of gold names are starting to show up. When that happens, typically that precedes the increase in the metal. So keep an eye on the gold stocks that look set up going into Monday, Tuesday trading. Coupons.com, this one looks like it's a competitor to Groupon. Keep an eye on this one, new on the scan. Cypress Semiconductor, this was on the scan a while back, broke above these levels and then gapped up. We're just keeping these on the scan. Cytokinetics, nice little flag pattern, watching this one. Have a little volume by price resistance level. Detour Gold, flagging out, looks like it's going to move higher. Conceivable targets are right on the 14 level, $2 or $3 from here. Watch for slow stow and MACD to set up better. DRNA, we pointed this one out during the Christmas break. A little flag here down to the 10-period EMA, continues to move higher. First Marblehead, this nice little flag there. Some of these I haven't done research on, so you guys might want to check them out. Do your homework, find out if there is a product or service that warrants the accumulation of shares and the creation of the high type flag pattern. Halozyme, Halo, putting in a nice pull from 751 up to 14, almost there, 100%. Look for a flag. Isis Pharmaceuticals continues to move higher. Kite Pharma, we're looking for this stair stepping to start again, move sideways, and set up for another entry on Kite. We identified this one back in late summer when we started to see this base accumulation and breakout when it was on a Bollinger Band scan. Since then, it's been showing up on the high type flag scans. La Jolla Pharmaceuticals, looking good. MACD cross. Didn't mark this one up, but if we take out these highs, it looks like we're going to keep running higher. $7.20 up to 20 meets the criteria for the pole. Consolidation patterns a little sloppy, but it does show up on the scan as a high type flag pattern. MPS Pharmaceuticals, Ova Sciences, been on the scan for quite a while. Planar Systems, break out of this channel pattern, came back down and tested it. Looks like it's moving a little bit higher. Slow Stow's turning up, MACD as well. This is a new one, Canadian name, nice little flag after this move off of the 550 level. RLYP, this is one we were watching when we flagged out here and Bollinger Bands tightened. We're looking for this to give us an idea which direction it wants to move. We have no position in this name. Sierra Wireless trades on both the Toronto and the NASDAQ. Nice Canadian name, wireless company. Sigma Designs continues to move higher. Been on the scan for quite some time. Sorrento Therapeutics, nice little flag here, could move higher. Note the volume. Just do your research. We haven't looked into this one. Biotechs are the #1 group in IBD this weekend. Mikey is nice enough to share with us. Biotech is #1. It was #5 6 weeks ago, moved up to #3 3 weeks ago, and is presently at #1. So we want to keep an eye on that. ZIOP breaking out of a flag on Friday. In the IT group, we saw relative strength last week. Brocade Communications, #3 in the data storage hardware industry group, as ranked by IBD. Note we're testing highs here. Note the huge volume on Friday. Slow Stow and MACD support continuation move. DTLK, this is #1 as ranked by IBD in the data storage hardware industry group. Note this level here where we were support, we lost it, came up, became a resistance, we broke through, consolidated along it, and now we're looking pretty good for a move higher with Slow Stow turning on this hardware data storage group name. Hill, also in the group, ranked at #10, had a little gap up, nice triangle pattern above this volume by price level, and got a little crazy on Friday, moving back down to earth. Watch for a little move back down to this trend line. If that happens on this cheap name, we could see a bounce, pull back to breakout, and a move higher. Slow Stow and MACD certainly support it. Nimble Storage, I know my buddy JCOM mentioned it on Friday. Nice flat base pattern for the majority of 2014. We're going to try to break out here. If we get above this volume by price level, we're watching that as well as this trend line. Slow Stow is turned, and the group in general is looking pretty good as far as relative strength on Friday. NTAP looking good off of this lower trend line. The lower portion of this range, lower Bollinger Band outside of it and moving higher, with Slow Stow pushing higher as well as MACD. QTM #6 in the group, following the 50-period moving average below the 10 and the 20, so we're watching this one to get back above the 10 period before we consider it, but Slow Stow and MACD suggest we might see higher prices. SNDK is in two different industry groups with IBD, both the data storage and the semiconductor group, so just keep that in mind. We found support here, this volume by price bar, and this upper trend line. Then we came back and retested. We're watching this for a move higher off of the lower Bollinger Band with Slow Stow and MACD pointing higher. STX, #3 in the group, data storage, right inside of this volume by price bar. Look for it to get above this level to test this upper trend line at 70. Note Slow Stow and MACD are supporting higher prices, as are the moving averages. TDC, Teradata, #6 in the group, holding the 50 period and the moving averages. Watch this volume by price level for this #6 name in the IBD group. Violin Memory, I don't know anything about it, but it's along this lower trend line, midline of the Bollinger Bands. We're watching this one, support at this volume by price level, Slow Stow pointing to higher prices. The whole group is moving as in unison, so that looks pretty good. WDC, #2 in the hardware group, storage, 50 period moving average moving higher, prices firmly above the 10 period and the 20, testing recent highs. Slow Stow and MACD support a possible continuation as well as volume. Looking pretty good. Okay, so this is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com. For you new traders, be sure to check out these top 5 or 6 videos, which will give you a better edge on understanding the markets, taking setups, and where to position yourself for the highest risk reward on your trade. In addition, if you don't subscribe to the blog, this is a spam-free site. Enter your email address in here and you can get these delivered to your email every day. You'll note my tweets are here, the watch list for the week or the day. You can just scroll down through these to keep in track of the trades that we're looking at, whether they're high type flags or Bollinger Band setups. It's also a place for me to document the trades and thoughts going into the weeks. So I hope this helps. Take care. We'll talk to you on the stream on Monday.